Looking to pick up your very own custom sleeves? Well, look no further. Go to yourplaymat.com where you can choose to have your very own image on the back of sleeves, or you can choose from their amazing range of pre-designed artwork ready and waiting for you. Get them shipped directly to your door and use the affiliate link and discount code down below to get 10% off. What are you waiting for? Go and grab your custom sleeves from yourplaymat.com. Recording this, which is a good start. Now, today what I'm bringing you guys is something that I haven't done before, but I've actually liked the idea of it, and it is a tier list. But what I'm going to be doing with this is we're going to be using a tier list from the most recent YCS. So this is going to include America, the European areas, and I believe there's South America is the other one that I've got. Now, I'll show you the top 32s that we have from all of those locations and kind of go from there. I'm just going to pull up, I'll show you the graphic in a second, I'll put it on the thing, put it onto the screen. But before I do, I just wanted to do a shout out to Luke Connolly. So I found this on Facebook through the Zodiac channel, and Luke Connolly is the one that put this together. So without that, we wouldn't be able to see this. So there we go. I'm just gonna transfer it across. There we go. So in the bottom corner, what you've got here is you've got the remote YCS main events, July 2021, top 32 in Europe, North America, and South America. So these are all the top 32s combined into one. He's got the raw data from far from the European areas. Lodretti, Velen, and Robbie Cole from the North America, and Raphael Reich from the South America, and then this has all been compiled by Luke Connolly. So all credit goes to Luke Connolly for putting all of this together. And as you can see from the right hand side, you've got the percentage breakdown. So you've got 26 tri-brigades, 27%, 16 Drytrons, 17%, 11 virtual worlds, 10 invokes, 8 prank kids, and so on and so forth, as you can kind of see as it goes down. So keep in mind, in total this is what, 96 decks overall. Now, what we are going to do, for the first time I've ever done it, is we're going to do a tier list. So I'm going to, while you guys are watching live as well, we're going to do a tier list together. So I will try to, or I will tell you where I think they should go, and I'll ask you guys at home that are listening as well, where you think they should go, and we'll move them and find the common ground of where we are going to. So we'll start with the list from the top. Now, while I do that, I'm going to quickly move the image across. So this is where I need like 3 screens, the once in a lifetime time to do it. Anyway, hello to Aaron and Roltat. So obviously they are joining on this as well. So we'll start off with the most highly represented one, and that is of course going to be Tri-Brigade. Shocker. I entered this event for the European areas, and all of my rounds were Tri-Brigade. They were all the same apart from one, which was Lyrilless Tri-Brigade, and that was just as annoying as the rest. Anyway, so Tri-Brigade, where are we going to put this one? Had the highest representation. I don't know who won these YCSs, because obviously the top 16s is happening at the end of, or towards the end of the month. I think it's like 2 weeks away, something like that, or maybe next week. So we don't know who's actually going to win it, but it'll be interesting to see. Anyway, the tier breakdown I've gone is obviously tier 0, which is like undeniable, broken deck, nothing can get close to it. Tier 1, which is obviously going to be below tier 0, it's not going to be completely dominant, completely destructive, but is going to be highly represented, is going to be as powerful as possible. Tier 2 is that level just below that tier 1, which is in between Rogue and tier 1, where it can really consistently put up a fight with the tier 1 decks and the decks above it. And it is averagely represented to kind of go from there. Rogue is a deck that does incredibly well in certain formats against certain matchups, and then local fun is decks that I feel present themselves better to the local area, and don't always have as much success with the Rogue matchup or with the actual aggressive matchup. So Aaron, straight away, I completely agree with you. I'm not even going to dwell on Tri-Brigade long. Tri-Brigade straight in at tier 1. It's not a tier 0 deck because it can be beaten. So literally, I was beating Tri-Brigade with Trap Trick Amazement. So it's not... What you've got to keep in mind is tier 0 formats are pretty much like the Zodiac era, where it was pretty much everything was Zodiac. And then probably the most individualized format ever was the Spiral format, where in both OCG and TCG, it was hitting like 98% complete domination. Then, of course, we'll move on to the Drytron. So this is a deck that I felt should have done better at most of the YCSs. It's still highly represented at 16, so about 17% of the overall tally. But with Drytron, I think they sit towards Tri-Brigade as well. So alongside the Tri-Brigade, they have a very good matchup against each other, because what stops the Tri-Brigade is in the main deck of the Drytron. What stops the Drytron is in the main deck of the Tri-Brigade. So it really comes down to winning the dice roll and then who can kind of feed off of the back of that. There is a lot of interruption. So like when you look at the end board for Drytron, it's usually like Herald of Ultimateness plus. So sometimes it could be Herald of Ultimateness with 2 Herald of Orange lights in the hand, with ultimate amounts of interruptions. With Tri-Brigades, it's usually like a 3 to 4 negate Appaloosa, plus Revolt, which is going to get you into a Banished Shurag. And then, of course, off of the back of that, you should also have Dragon Lords as well. So definitely tier 1 for the Drytrons. Now, this is a very surprising one. This one, it has kind of seen a lot more use. Like, it just blew up over this YCS weekend, which makes no sense to me of how it just disappeared and then came back again. And that is, of course, Virtual World. So Virtual World have made a storming return. So this actually represented 11% of all of those at the YCS. Now, from that 11%, I can't understand exactly, like, nothing's really changed. The only thing that makes the Virtual World so good is the fact that their matchups with stuff like Drytron and Tri-Brigade, when they both need to use the graveyard, is incredibly powerful. So in the past, when it was VFD pass, they really, like, they dominated. But now, they have to go Shen Shen and then play from there. So, Aaron is calling tier 2 for Virtual World. I'm putting it in Rogue. Now, the reason I've put it in Rogue over tier 2, again, there's no right or wrong answer on this. It could easily go into tier 2. But, as my definition of Rogue is as follows. It's a deck that is slightly represented, but it just has incredible matchups for a particular format. So, what I'm trying to say to you is, if a deck, unlike Tri-Brigade or Drytrons, that is floating around and being played does not rely on the graveyard as heavily, Virtual World will be dead. It will not be playable. You saw in the past format, before we got the new cards for Drytrons in Diviner and the new cards for the Tri-Brigades in Revolt and Bearbrum, that Virtual World was not played. So keep in mind that the ban list that hit VFD was the ban list before the one we've just got that hit Drytron. So literally, out of pretty much nowhere, no new support have come to Virtual Worlds from the Lightning Overdrive or anything along those lines. Virtual World just all of a sudden came back into existence. And that is because it is so important and powerful with, of course, Tri-Brigade and locking out the graveyard. Keep in mind, they still have a massive tendency to brick. In the past, when they did brick, they were able to still go, okay, cool, VFD, pass. But also keep in mind as well, when you look at stuff like Drytrons, they've got enough negates when they set up the Herald of Ultimateness to deal with anything that the Virtual Worlds bring at them. And with Tri-Brigade, if they do get to that Imperial Order as well, that shuts off the Virtual Worlds because they lose their Kunlong and their City as well. And that's pretty much what gets the whole combo going. Their trap is still incredibly amazing, so don't take anything away from that. Next up, we have Invoked Dogmatica Shaddoll. So with Invoked Dogmatica Shaddoll, I'm just going to put it straight in here. It's a tier 2 deck, in my opinion. Yes, it falters with the same, like, Virtual World have the same issues or deal with this a lot easier. But keep in mind as well that they can kind of play around the graveyard usages, get rid of the cards that are going to cause them an issue, or get rid of the Shen Shen, and then play from there. So there are ways for the Invokes to work around it. They're nowhere near as dominant or on the same level as Drytron and as the Tri-Brigades, but they're still very, very good. The Crimson card, you believe that Virtual World is tier 1. So, this is a good time on this one. So you're saying that Virtual World is on the same level as Tri-Brigade and Drytron on a consistent basis? Yeah, Virtual World probably do have the most top 16s, but what I'm trying to say with this is they're only good in this particular moment, while, like, on the YCS events, because the Tri-Brigades and the Drytrons are so heavily used. All it takes is for a different deck, another rogue deck that doesn't rely on the graveyard, and straight away Virtual World crumble. They brick, they fall down. It's, in my opinion, I mean, you're welcome to your own opinion, which is perfectly fine if you believe they're tier 1. I feel that if anything shifted, if people all of a sudden said, you know what, I'm not actually going to play Tri-Brigade or Drytron, which I don't know why you would because they are the best decks right now, then Virtual World stops. So Virtual World stopped getting played because of the other decks. Yes, it beats them hands down. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. But what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't make Virtual World a tier 1 deck. It makes it a very good rogue deck to counteract the current meta. If the current meta changes, Virtual World become a dead deck. Because then, so the question is, why wasn't Virtual World being used when Lightning Overdrive dropped? Why wasn't it being used before that Lightning Overdrive? Like, since that ban list hit, it's a completely dead deck. Since they lost Virtual World, not Virtual World, sorry, VFD, it stopped. So I would, yeah, but that's not. We're not talking about because Virtual World are good against the metas at right now. Doesn't make them a tier 1 deck. They're still a rogue deck. That's what I kind of take as rogue decks. I take rogue decks as they are a deck that counteracts the current meta. Doesn't make them a tier 1 deck because they still have massive weaknesses and massive flaws. And if they face something that isn't Tri-Brigade and isn't the Drytrons, they fall apart. Now, the reason the invoked Doll Dogmatica is above the Virtual Worlds is because on a consistent basis, if they face 10 different decks, if the Virtual World face 10 different decks and the invoked face the same 10 different decks, I guarantee you the invoked Doll Dogmatica would get more wins from the variety than the Virtual Worlds. I think the Virtual Worlds would struggle against 10 randomized decks. I think they would definitely win they have a high possibility of winning the Tri-Brigade matchup and the Drytron matchup. But then the other 8 games they will struggle with. Some they might do really, really well with, some they won't. Whereas I think invoked on a balanced procedure, just being able to go, okay, cool, Macabre, Winder, Dogmatica plays, that will then give them more of a consistent edge facing the rest of the decks. So where they may lose to the Tri-Brigade and the Drytrons, they might win against the other 8, whereas the Virtual World might struggle. That's, again, just my opinion. That's just, like, that's how I would see it, and that's how I perceive rogue decks in the sense that, so Invoke Dogmatica would be played before Lightning Overdrive, during Lightning Overdrive, and after Lightning Overdrive. Whereas Virtual World wasn't played before Lightning Overdrive, wasn't really played during Lightning Overdrive, it's only now just being played because it counteracts the meta so well. So as soon as that meta shifts, you'll still see more people playing Invoke Dogmatica Dolls, and the Virtual World will kind of just take another backseat. Not taken away, the deck is insane. I was going to play the deck the other day because I was like, I really like the fact that they just keep on going. And that was a nice kind of thing. But again, that's just kind of where I see it. I think quite a few of you have actually said tier 2 as well. So I'm more than happy to shift with the majority on this one. We'll meet in the middle ground. I put it at rogue. Crimson wants it as tier 1. A couple of people have said tier 2. So we'll meet in the middle and put it in there. Where do we get to next? Oh, the next one's an interesting one. So Prankids. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Prankids. So Prankids, again, I wouldn't class Prankids as a tier 2 deck. I would count them as rogue again as well. I mean, and even then, I wouldn't put it as a high rogue. Now, the reason I would say that is because they are so susceptible to the most staple of cards. So, an Omni Negate, so Winder loses. Virtual World Shen loses. A Double Dragon Lords loses. Herald of Art Light, just one negate off the Herald of Art Light, it loses. An Ash Blossom, and they don't chain block correctly, it loses. So it's very, very difficult to kind of try and put it in the same bracket as Invoked and the Virtual Worlds in that kind of scenario. And it's very, very difficult. Like, it definitely doesn't get anywhere near tier 1, in my opinion. So I think it should be considered that due to this format still being early, that there will be a huge variety of decks. So the point about Dogmatica being stronger at the moment still stands, in my opinion. Well, again, it really depends on how it is. We're going off the back of the YCS. So if we did go directly off the back of the YCS, then Crimson is right. Virtual World should be tier 1 because it just counteracts the rest. But I'm trying to look at it from July to August. So looking at where the past few weeks we've had, moving up to August, where do I think the tier list will go? But yeah, you all seem to agree that Prankers is very fragile, which it is. It does produce some very, very good... Prankers is a tier 2 deck, has the ability to top and has topped. I completely agree. It definitely has the ability to top, but would you put Prankers on the same level as the Invoked and the Virtual World? Because I personally wouldn't. I think they're definitely on a different one. They got worse with Striker and Salad representation increase because more decks are main deck in Spell and Trap Outs, which really hurt the deck. Yep, agreed completely. Let's keep moving on. So speaking of which, let's go to Strikers. Now, I think Strikers is another difficult one because they've got a 5% representation of all of the top 32s. They did incredibly well. They are Strikers are still annoying, but again, quite like Prankies, I wouldn't really want to call them rogue because I don't feel that they are rogue, but I definitely don't think that they're tier 2. So we'll put them under the rogue category, or I'm going to put them under the rogue category. I'll see what you guys say in a minute. I would put Striker under the rogue category purely because if people are expecting it, they can blow them out. And I think the issue with Strikers as well is Striker never had to deal with a Dragoon. Striker can knock out a Dragoon, like hands down. Like unless they get a card that weakens it so much, they can't out Dragoon. Dragoon just goes, no, cool. Can't target me, so you can't Widow Anchor me. You can't Shark Cannon, you can't do a lot. I'm pretty much going to be able to stop you. So Dragoon hits the board. 9 to that 10, Striker players will have to go, I need to get a Mystic Mine or I'm going to lose this one. So I don't think they stand a chance compared to the rest. And I kind of expected them to have a decent representation. So yeah, no, I agree with you on that one, Crimson. I think it's a very tough rogue to put them there. I don't think there's anything you really need to side in for it. I need a tier 3 list. Yeah, I could put a tier 3. But the way I kind of see it is tier 3 to me, in my opinion, and again, could be completely wrong, I would say is local fun. And what I say by local fun is, I mean, you could probably top your locals with it. You probably do really well, depending on where it is. Virtual World can auto beat Striker with Dragoon. Yeah, exactly that. That's what I mean. Literally just Dragoon, Striker, lose. And I think with Striker, the majority of stuff you're already sideboarding for everything else, you're already doing anyway. So, alright. I think we'll keep these two at rogue because they have obviously represented quite highly up at the YCS. But I agree with all of you that they could go a little bit lower. Salamanders. Now, again, sorry guys, has to go. I'm putting it straight into local fun. I will adapt it if you guys disagree with this as the majority. You think Salad is stronger than Striker? That's very interesting. Well, then maybe... Would I say Salad is stronger than Prankids? I'm not sure. So, like, I've got a person that's playing Salads at locals, and I think Salads needs a good pilot. I don't think the ban list has personally changed Salads, because I think that getting the Mirage Stalio hasn't actually helped them in their goal. Like, consistently for OTK, definitely. Like no argument about that, but they have the same issue. To establish a first turn board with a good enough involvement, they lose to Nibiru. To go second, they lose to Nibiru. So the only way that Salads will do really, really well is if people aren't playing Nibiru, or if the Salad player is smart enough that during turn 1 they stop before they hit their 5th summon, which, keep in mind, is very, very difficult to kind of get to that point. So we're saying Salad is better than Striker, right? If we're saying Salad is better than Striker, then I would put them both down 1. At least, right, so go on then, Saint. So Saint, tell me why you like where does it make it go to tier 2? Would you say that Salad is on the same level as Invoked and Virtual World? Because I personally don't think they are. Like, I don't think anything has changed from the ban list. So again, apart from Mirage Stalio coming back, what has made it better? Like, the Mirage Stalio hasn't actually adapted it to be a better deck, because again, it still faces the same problems. It still loses to... The only reason that it still loses to Nibiru, it still loses to, like, yes, they're very good at recursion, yes, they're very good at getting board swarm, yes, it has a very good, easy access to access code, Dweller is also good, but at the end of the day, both of them are useless if the ball gets Nibiru'd, and that's where the trap cards then falter. The trap cards are their best kind of factors, in my opinion. Again, I feel their trap cards are their best kind of counterparts, and if you Nibiru them, that's it. Their traps are dead. So there's a lot of things. I think you definitely need a very good Salad pilot. The Salad pilot needs to be good. And they need to understand where they're going with it. I still think they're good. I just don't see. Again, they're in the same position that they were for ages. Like you could go all the way back to, because nothing's really changed in Salamanders, has it? So you can go all the way back to post the ban list, post Lightning Overdrive, and keep going. And I don't think the deck's got any stronger, in my opinion. I think Mirage Salad is nice, but it locks you into fires. So you're then not able to kind of continue your plays. I don't even play Salad, but our mate, we went into it, and he sides in Forbidden Chalice, depending on the matchup. He did really well. He only lost one game. There he didn't draw any hand traps. We're getting to Ignisters, don't worry. So again, so in Saints, kind of, okay, also there's two different Salad builds, OTK Salad and Trap Salad. The OTK Salad build is big for this format, and sadly that's what people are playing. I agree, so I think Crimson's made a perfectly good example there. I agree with you. I think the trap version is better. Because with the trap version, if you're playing Gozen, you can actually end your board on the lighter one. So think of it this way, right? Normal summon a single Salad, link it into not Almirage, Kitty Cat. Kitty Cat gets you the field spell. So there's two summons, right? You can then special summon out another Salad, gives you 3. Turn into a Sunlight Wolf is 4. Now to relink the Sunlight Wolf to get everything you need puts you into your 5, which puts you into your danger zone straight away. So the smart player would have to hold back, would have to relink the Kitty, set the counter trap, so set Raw, set Rage, set Gozen, and pass. So that's where we're going into it. Walking Tool, I think Striker is Rogue for sure, and not a local fun. As far in the States, it has taken 4 slots, I believe, in remote tournaments. So, again, Walking Tool, you've just joined us a little bit late. So, Striker were in Rogue, but then we've kind of matched it down with Salads. I don't feel that Salads and Striker... I think Salads are maybe a little bit better than Striker because of the variations that they've got. But I don't think they're both worthy to go into Rogue. I think Local's fun. We're kind of seen as like tier 3. That's just in my opinion at this moment in time. Anyway, let's move on to Dinos. Again, Dinos are very, very difficult because again they've only represented about 3% of the YCS top 32s, and they've really been hit bad by the ban list. So I don't like what they've lost by losing Misk to 1. Is they've lost consistency and recursion for future gameplays. Literally, if your first miss gets stopped, gets DD crowed, gets anything like that, your deck kind of crumbles a little bit. But, that also being said, if they do resolve the Misk, if they are then able to protect, they're able to build their entire board without fearing Nibiru. It's then only when it gets to the second turn that it is to kind of go with. Now, I really think, can I change this? I'm not sure if I can change this. Ah, I can. Okay, fine. Ah, no! Where'd it go? Can I change this? There we go, fine. Right, there we go, fine. Tier 3. We're going to go with Tier 3. So let's go with Dinos. I think Dinos are in tier 3. To be fair, I could even argue that Prank Kids are tier 3 as well. I just feel they're so fragile. What have we got? Thank you, Oisin. Appreciate that. Saint Marcus. Look, I play Sacred Beast Control and played Sacred Beast Dragoon at the YCS. Regret because I performed poorly with the 9-card swap out. Sacred Beast do well against Sky Striker, so I understand the local fun. Mate, I like that idea. I love the idea of Sacred Beast. I think Sacred Beast Dragoon, you may have gone a little bit too much on the Dragoon. I would literally only play 1 Red Eyes Fusion, 1 Red Eyes, and 1 Dark Magician. So, does Rogue go? I would put Rogue higher than tier 3. I mean, I don't know. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. These tier lists gives you headaches. Okay. let's have a look at the Ignisters. Now, where are you? Ignisters. I'm going to put this straight here and we can move it if we need to. But to me, Ignisters is tier 3, maybe moving into Rogue. They're very good when they go off. So, basically, with this, we're looking at the YCS. And then to kind of break it apart a little bit more, we're going to look back at what they were doing before the YCS and what they can do after the YCS. Like, where can they go from here? That's kind of the criteria that we're using. And in my opinion, I feel that Striker and Salad have a lot of hype right now because they had very big fan followings and they've changed after the ban list. I think they're going to start to slow down and I think they will now become tier 3. I don't think either of them have amazing matchups against the current meta, in my opinion. They are very good at chain blocking, but again, you said it exactly there, Silent. In a good duelist hands. Exactly that. It has to be in a good duelist's hands. So if we were rating the duelists and we were rating how good the duelist needs to be to play the deck, sure. But on the average Joe, just looking at the deck on a basis, not including the pilot, this is where I'd put them. Ignisters again. So we're on to the Ignisters. I've put them into tier 3, and exactly like Crims has said, they are very reliant on the normal summon. They are reliant on the field spell. They do have a lot of recursion. Like, they can do a lot from one card, which is amazing. Their new Link 1 is insanely good. But again, their first turn board is a towers that you need to struggle to deal with. Once you out that towers, you've pretty much won. They do have an incredible good power of being able to OTK. And like I said, they have that ability to recur should they get Nibiru'd, which in my opinion puts them a little bit above Salad because they can get recursion. But if they're able to be stopped on multiple occasions, they're going to lose. So, for that example, I think they're very good against Virtual World because they don't rely on the graveyard heavily. Apart from the Link 3, they don't really need to rely on it too much, but they will deal with it. I think exactly that. Virtual World is anti-meta at the moment. Very, very anti-meta. If the deck loses bad to Virtual World, but it only loses bad to Virtual World if they go first. If Virtual World goes second against either of these decks, they lose. In my opinion, they lose. Like, it's too consistent to get Herald of Ultimateness, and it's too consistent to pull off like an Appaloosa Shurag. Like, way too consistent. Whereas against the matchup of the Invoked, this is probably why it's better being in tier 2 than tier 1. I probably should have changed Rogue to like anti-meta. But then if I change it to anti-meta, then I definitely would put Virtual World back down in there. So anyway, so Ignisters, I think tier 3. I wouldn't say it's Rogue because I don't think it has incredibly good matchups or like direct matchups against the main meta contenders. I just feel they're very good at building a strong board. Like, and when I say a strong board, literally a 1 monster that you can't touch. And a lot of people I've seen have make it with the 6 materials. So it's like a 6k monster. So if it was like a 6k monster with an interrupt, it would make it a little bit more difficult. But the fact it's not that, it's literally like, alright, well, why don't I just go Dragoon? Like, why don't I turn 2 of my Virtual Worlds into Verte, make Dragoon pass without extorting so much resource? So, okay, Dragon Link. Let's have a look at Dragon Link. So this is an interesting one. This is the one that got the most affected from the ban list. Dragon Link, where would I put this? I mean, it's definitely not Rogue, in my opinion. I don't want to just put everything on tier 3, because I think arguably with the rest of this, you easily could put it on tier 3. I still think Dragon Link are very good, but I feel that they share the same weaknesses that all of these decks here do, and they all have something in common. Is when you look at cards like this, right, or the decks like this, can play through Nibiru or set up a negate. Can play through Nibiru or set up a negate. Play through Nibiru or set up a negate. Play through Nibiru or set up a negate. Can't play through Nibiru if the pilot isn't good enough. Loses to a simple Kaiju and that locks out their back row. Loses to Denkos and everything like that. So again, at Ignisters, definitely did do well during extravagances and stuff like that because no one knew what they were facing. No one knew what they could do. And they would Nibiru way too early. And then they were able to go, oh wow, you've only used one card. I'm now going to recur my resources and then make. Whereas if you stop like the Link free, they falter. If you turn off their normal summon and they don't get the field spell, they falter. It does really put them on a back one. I wouldn't count that they're rogue because I don't feel that they have any dominating matchups against the specific like decks. But I feel that they're all on the same level with Dragon Link, with Prank Kids, is that they're very good if they go off. If they go off and they don't get stopped, their end boards will pretty much win them the game from that point on. So, look at it this way, right? Salamanders, if they go off and don't get stopped, they're going to have a relinked card, they're going to have resources added back to their hand, they're going to have the Roar and Rage at the minimum. Strikers are going to have gone through their resources, looped a few cards around. If they're going second, they've put you under Mystic Mine. If they've gone first, they're going to have at least one, if not two, Widow Anchors set to disrupt you. Dinos, you're looking at like a Dolka, a UCT, and possibly an Appaloosa if you're playing the scrap version. Again, very difficult to deal with. Prank Kids, you're going to have two quick play Regekis, which is obviously going to cause a lot of issues if played at the right time. Ignisters, you're going to have a Towers, which is very difficult to deal with. And Dragon Link, you're still going to end up with like Savage, probably rip one, if not two, from your opponent's hand and be able to play from further from them. So if they go unchecked, fine. But the one thing that all of these share in common is that they're all very fragile to Nibiru's. They're all very fragile to the right hand trap at the right time. So if you know what you're doing when you're facing against them, then you'll be able to deal with them. So that's kind of what I would say with that. Now let's look at Madolche. Now Madolche is at 1%. Now I wouldn't class Madolche, again, it's very difficult. Madolche are technically a tier 3 deck in my opinion, but I'm actually going to put them against Rogue. Now the reason I'm putting them in Rogue is purely because they have the ability to play D-Shifter, which pretty much does the job that Virtual World is doing on all of these decks right now. It still shares the same weakness that it does get Nibiru'd. Dragon Link isn't fragile. How is it not fragile? Like, it doesn't have the ability to recur and play through as much without Pitsy, and it doesn't have the consistency that, sorry, not Pitsy, LP gives it. We'll go back to that in a minute anyway. So Madolche's, what I like about them is they've got a very good ability to go first, go second. They don't struggle against something like Virtual Worlds. They've got one, if not two, one card, if maybe even three one-card combos. So they lose to they lose to Winder. They'll lose to a Herald of Arclight with enough negates. They'll lose to an Appaloosa. But if you're built going second, you're probably going to have Dark Ruler No More, which shuts off the majority of these decks right here. If they're playing go second, they're probably going to have Kaijus and everything like that, which means they can shut off this. Lightning Storms, Hyper Feather Dusters, you name it. Now, I'm not saying that it's not fragile at all. And maybe we shift it like this. Maybe we put tier 3 there and Rogue down here. So, what I'm trying to say with Madolche's is they've got the ability to put up a very intimidating go first board. And they've also got the ability to put up a very intimidated, like OTK, like the fact that they just keep on going, there's not really a good time to stop it with Nibiru because they can actually continue to play through special summons and then still maintain two normal summons, especially when they've got one card combo, so that even if you Nibiru them and put everything in the grave, if they play Ticket, they shuffle everything back in and then they're able to go normal summon again, and that just causes issues. I'm going to blitz through the last ones because I don't think the last ones are anything too spectacular. So, Subterrors, Rogue, like maybe tier 3. I think Rogue, in my opinion, will probably put below tier 3. They're kind of that deck that they have a lot of potential and can work really, really well, but they tend to lose to themselves because of their own restrictions than anything else. Ray Raptors, I mean, I don't even know how this got a 1% representation, but very interesting. Mystic Mine, the 1% was probably Jeff Leonard. Is what it is. Mystic Mine Burn. I don't think it's a tier. I don't think it's a very creative deck. I don't think it's a deck that is overall like insane. But the fact is, if it goes second and Mystic Mines you and you can't out it, you're in big trouble. But obviously, if you can, you're good to go because they don't really put up huge defenses if you can deal with their back row. Phantom Knights. I wouldn't even really class it as Rogue, to be honest. I don't think it has amazing matchups. I would kind of say that Phantom Knights, in my opinion, are tier 3. Because again, it's like the rest. If they go off, and they do have the ability to kind of bait out Nibiru's a little bit earlier on as well. If they go off, they can produce a very good board. Like the balance between front row and back row, I think, is incredibly good. So I would probably put that there, in my opinion. Eldritch, now Eldritch is not. I'm not considering Eldritch as pure. I'm assuming like Invoked Eldritch or Invoked Dragoon. I would definitely put them as a tier 3. Again, they kind of struggle against all these 4 matchups because they need that turn to set up. They're not as swarm related, and a lot of people have sussed them out that by ashing their Sanguine, they pretty much get nothing. So, in my opinion, tier 3. Mech Orcus, I have no idea where this came from. Like, I'm not even going to put that. That's not tier 3. That's like a rogue deck. That is a 1% that got lucky and squeezed in my opinion. Same for Cyber Dragon. Make everything else tier 0. Cyber Dragon and Infernoids. Like even at Rogue, I think Infernoids is a push, a very big push. So very, very tricky. Okay, so I've now got 4 remaining decks. These were all so the decks that have all been tiered are all decks that have been, you know, represented at the top 32s. So Dragoon. Now the reason I'm going to put Dragoon here is it's definitely going tier 2. Now the reason Dragoon goes tier 2, I'm not saying Dragoon as a deck, I'm saying Dragoon as an engine, because Dragoon as a deck goes in anything. Like literally any deck. Like the reason I won so many of my my matchups with Trap Trick Amazements was because no one expected a Dragoon. So literally they stopped me. I had 2 monsters left on the board. Make Verte, make Dragoon because they'd already burnt all their resources. Dragoon goes pop, pop, attack. So the idea is that you blocking them with Floodgate, you're blocking them with Grave Diggers, you're burning away their life points. You make Dragoon, Dragoon just goes, cool, pop, pop, game. And when you look at this, Dragoon can be put into Eldritch. It could be put in the Invoked if you wanted to. We've seen people put it in the Drytrons. We've seen people put it in Virtual World. This card is nuts on his own, is a tier 1 card, if not higher, maybe. But as an involvement in all of these decks, it's not a rogue card, it's not a tier card. As a deck, any kind of deck, in my opinion, that relies on Dragoon, is something. Dragoon is a tier 2 deck. Blue Eyes White Dragon. Can I just add a row? Trash tier. Tier 0. You know, Dark Magician. Whoop, whoop. I had to, like, these are just last little minute buys. I've done the list, guys. This is literally just me messing around. Trash. Trash. I want to add a new. Can I add a new one? Add a row below. Was it third? Nah, 4th rate. 4th rate, isn't it? Third rate duelist with a 4th rate deck. No, third rate deck with a 4th rate duelist. I don't know. Third rate deck. There we go. Third rate decks. Boom. Red Eyes and Blue Eyes. Get out of here, Kyber. Yeah. I mean, jokes aside, these are all sadly. I just wanted to add something in the tier 0 spot. Okay, so yeah, ultimately, apart from these 3 down here, this is the tier list in my opinion. I thank you all that have watched and kind of contributed towards this. It's, again, this is subjective. Like, I'm not saying this is 100% the tier list and this is what you need to be going by. I'm so sorry that I've just realised that my camera is covering up most of the tier list. How stupid of me is that? Oh, this would have been smarter, wouldn't it? Oh well, lesson learnt for next time. Yeah, okay, so this is a tier list. If you like this type of video, I'm more than happy to do more tier lists. We can do, you know, tier list of cards, tier list of side deck cards, tier list of anime characters, anime decks, I don't know. Tier list of products coming out, that'd be pretty cool. Tier list of the upcoming products. And kind of working from there. So if you like this type of video, then of course, by all means, please smash that like button, hit that notification button and subscribe, because by you doing so and showing appreciation to this type of video will allow me to kind of evaluate it and then do it again for the future. I am learning on this. This is the first time that I've kind of done a tier list. It's the first time that I've kind of walked through it and worked through this as well. So, like I said, it's just trying something out new, trying something out different, and seeing how kind of you guys react and how you kind of enjoy it. So, Yeah, this is a tier list for the top 32 from the YCS, looking past and the future. I think the future, I can't really see most of this changing. I think, in my opinion, it'll relatively stay the same. If anything, some of these decks might drop to like tier 4s. Some of them, not all of them, don't kill me. I still think these are the two best decks of the format. They're just so consistent and so powerful. I think of the format, the virtual world just has such good matchups against these if it goes first. If it doesn't go first and bricks, then it's like this. If it does really, really well, then against these, it's technically this. So that's why we've met in the middle ground and put it as a tier 2 deck. Anyway, thank you so much for every single one of you watching. I'm going to end this now. If you do have any questions that you want me to answer in the chat while I'm here, by all means, post them in the chat. I'll answer them. I'll stay around for about probably about another 10 minutes. I'm going to edit this video and upload this as a separate one as well. So thank you for watching the live stream of the tier list. Like I said, as absolutely always, please hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content from the channel. As absolutely always, guys, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling. Looking to pick up your very own custom sleeves? Well, look no further. Go to yourplaymat.com, where you can choose to have your very own image on the back of sleeves, or you can choose from their amazing range of pre-designed artwork ready and waiting for you. Get them shipped directly to your door and use the affiliate link and discount code down below to get 10% off. What are you waiting for? Go and grab your custom sleeves from yourplaymat.com.